Hello, welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. Today we are going to plumb the depths of the strange and unusual by exploring the Warlocks of the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons classes.
Well, I wouldn't say they're all strange.
Some of them are pretty weird. I mean, you got the Fae, you got the demonic Pact,
you got the great old one,
like Cthulhu chilling right there.
Yeah, I don't know if the Fae are weird, though. Are they weird?
They're pretty weird, dude.
Are you sure?
Well, there's an arc Fae.
Yeah.
They're kind of like, they're like the hot chicks.
They're completely unreasonable.
Even the dudes. They're the crazy hot chicks.
Come on, you've read the Dresden Files. You know how crazy and weird the She are.
I wouldn't say they're weird. They're crazy.
Yeah. So, do we want to talk a little bit, before we get too deep into the 5e version, about, we had Warlock kind of appeared in 3rd edition.
Yeah, 3.5.
3.5. So we had that. Their main thing was that sort of like Eldritch Blast, where they were just dealing damage, really. And then you had the different iterations of them in 4th edition. You had the Star Pact one, which was like the Cthulhu-id one of 4th edition. You're contacted by some strange being,
otherworldly
outsider.
Thing.
And there was the Fae one. Was it just those two? And they probably had some
Yeah,
expansions?
I kind of feel like the Fiend was in there, too.
Oh, yeah, there's a Fiend one there, too.
I think they just poured it over the 3 from 4th.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it kind of covers your bases. You got, you have creepy aberration, otherworldly things. You have aloof, crazy Fae.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, I'm going to eat your soul, demons and devils.
Yeah, there you go.
What more do you need?
Yeah.
Now, could you have a warlock from the astral side of things?
A benevolent thing?
A benevolent thing granting you power. I mean, you could kind of get that from cleric and paladin, but, this is something different, so...
Well, yeah, I mean, even if you look at the world that we're creating, I could definitely see one of the dragons being...
Powerful enough to...
to give the boon of a pact. Really, it's really awesome because it's so thematic. And a lot of these could be reskinned to any powerful otherworldly being.
Right.
I think a good rule for that, what it could be under would be, anything you can have a cult about. If you can make a cult about this guy, then maybe he could be, the otherworldly being or the fiend.
That's true.
I like that rule of thumb. If there's a cult for it, it fits.
You could be a warlock.
Yeah, and I'm sure too. I didn't follow 4th too closely, but I'm sure that they create other pacts that you could be, and I'm sure 5e will be the same, where they'll give you other options. Outside of
we're still at the infantile state of 5e.
Yeah.
We've only just gotten access to the monster manual, and the DMG is still like a month and a half away. So it's like,
we need it now.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it speaks volumes for what they've done with this edition. That, like, they have me craving for so many more splat books on different things, and the Warlock is one of those things that just opens up a whole can of worms. I mean,
especially if you're talking about the crazy out there one, like you could be hallucinating that you're opening up a can of worms.
Yeah. Or they could be wiggling out of your face like poltergeists or some crap.
Or poltergeists. Yeah.
But I was thinking of the movie, but
yeah.
You have 3 different packs you can choose from. You have 3 different patrons you can choose from. So it really does create like 9 variances.
Right within there, before you talk race.
It's the most diverse class in the book.
Yeah. And
straight
really cool from the stuff I was reading.
Because where, everything has like either like a skill set or archetype or like a specific path of training.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3. At best there's 3. Some of them only have 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any with only 2?
Druid.
Druid definitely only has 2. So most of them have like 2 or 3. But I kind of feel like the way the Warlock's built, it's like you got 9 variations to choose from.
Right. If you start mixing and matching things, it gives you totally different characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone really loved on the Warlock in this, with the different things. Yeah. So all right. So we have 3 different patrons we can choose, and we've already mentioned those. What about these pack things I keep hearing about?
They're badass.
I love the Pact of the Blade. From several different standpoints. Number one, you can take a non-magical thing and poof, I can summon this blade. But then once you actually begin acquiring serious magical gear, you can You can bond it, and that becomes your pact weapon. You have the ability to
Which makes you proficient in it, so you can use it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
That is awesome.
But you can dismiss the weapon into the ether. So suppose you have to.
So when I get my hands on the Axe of Dwarven Lords, I can make that my pack weapon.
As long as it's not an artifact or a sentient weapon.
I think
Is it an
Dwarven
artifact?
Lords is an
The,
artifact.
the
Okay,
Axe of
well.
Dwarven Lords is so an artifact.
Keep your grubby goddamn warlock hands off of the axe of the Dwarven Lords.
But hey, a Dwarven Thrower, totally doable.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, suppose you have to, you're going to get arrested or you're going to get captured. If you dismiss your weapon into the ether, then once you're imprisoned or once you need the weapon, poof, you just summon it and it's right there in your hands.
Can I say something here? This is another class that I want to make a dwarf for, a mountain dwarf. I just want to make a mountain dwarf for
every
everything.
class.
Everything that shouldn't be
Mountain dwarf for all occasions.
Be a fighter type thing, I want to turn into a mountain dwarf.
Yeah. Be pretty sweet to hybrid with an assassin too, if you can make it work. Like the idea of like having this weapon you can dismiss, and then bring it back to murder someone. A demon lord would totally be kosher with that. It'd be all about it.
I think they might be all right with that.
Yeah. You just mechanically you have to make it work, so you're pretty likely to succeed. On
So
murdering
Nate,
somebody.
which pack do you like?
I like the Book of Shadow one. What's that one actually called?
Book
of Shadows.
Pack of the Tome. Yeah.
The
Book of Shadow.
aptly
Yeah.
named. Yeah.
I really like that one. I like that it gives you your extra spell power. So, because Warlock's a little trim when it comes to spell slots and spells.
Casting.
But dude,
Yeah.
they get all their spell slots back whenever they finish a short or a long rest.
The short rest. Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's like, okay, all right, guys, let's chill here for an hour. All right, I'm good to go again.
But when it comes to spell casting, Nate always wants more. So, so the choice that lets you have more is really appealing to me.
They do have more.
Yeah, the initial
More
Book
often
of,
anyway.
Yeah, the initial Book of Shadows power lets you have 3 cantrips from anywhere. So if you want druid cantrips for some reason, or
You want that shillelagh?
yeah,
It's a good spell.
that special magic stick. So
Which you could then make your pack. You could make it your blade.
Weapon,
yeah, it could be your pack
But
weapon.
if you're
Oh wait a minute, you can't because you went tome.
yeah,
Son of a bitch.
you can't.
I really
If
that
there's
was
a way to double up, I wonder if there could be a feat that lets you get 2.
that was the
pack wounds
worst
or
part
something.
about reading through the Warlock is realizing that I couldn't stick 2 of the powers together.
Like the thing is, like they're all so cool that you want this and I want that, and like I
so
can't-
much of it is good that I keep looking. I'm like, oh, the Pact of the Blade thing's really great, and I want different spells.
Okay, well, if you want to do Pact of the Blade and you want shillelagh, you have to take Magic Initiate.
Oh yeah.
So you get your 2 cantrips and a first level spell.
So you could really
just choose-
magic up a Warlock, so he's not even really looking like.
Well,
he's
one of the
diminished
things
in
I did with a warlock was I made a spell sniper, which it only gives you 1 extra cantrip, but it doubles the range on your attack spells that require a roll. Which I was like, so okay, well this guy is going to be all about Eldritch Blast. So I took the Eldritch Blast thing that increases your range
Right.
to 300 feet. So spell sniper kicks it out to 600 feet. So
you're just
That's
blowing
pretty
you
much
took-
off the board.
You took
Yeah.
Eldritch Spear, so your Eldritch Blast goes to 300. Spell Sniper takes it up to 6. So
Yeah.
you're like,
Did you give the other thing that gives you the bonus to charisma damage from
I
charisma?
did not. I was really
Oh.
torn between taking that and the mage armor.
Yeah, they're both. Really
So Dave's
good.
already figured out how to power game the Warlock.
Agonizing
I have-
Blast.
yeah.
Agonizing Blast. It's really sweet.
the super sniper.
And then there's the knockback one too.
Yeah, they're not going back one. But if you're already pinging somebody from 600 feet, 10 feet is not really that big of a thing. Like, that's insult to injury, basically. It's
And you
like
fall on your
spit
butt.
and
So
you spit in his eye.
haven't convinced me not to do it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, all right, you got 10 rounds to get to me if you're going to hit me with a melee strike.
Yeah. So there was one other Pact boon that we didn't really mention.
Chains.
The Pact of the chain. I'm also so in the favor of the Book of Shadows one, the book, the boon of the
Oh,
show.
the chains,
But
the chains you get a
decent.
familiar.
and
And,
it can be a cool familiar.
yeah,
it
you
can
can
be
get
cool.
a pseudo dragon, or you get a quasit or a
Right.
sprite, and then your other thing is you can forego one of your actions to give your familiar or minion an attack. And if you've got something that's cool that's got some kind of special ability, then yeah, that might actually be worthwhile. But it's not super uber.
Well, both your imps and your quasit have poison.
Yeah.
I think actually the pseudo dragon has poison too.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
crazy. Basically, it's like they're probably injecting you with like acid. You know?
Yeah.
Like not Bernie, but trippy, out of my mind.
I think you're thinking fairy dragon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But so I don't know. I get things you're boned if you get the sprite though. What can they do?
I don't know. I read.
Talk happy to them. I don't know. What does the
I
sprite
read
do?
I read the closet and I read the imp and I read the
Pseudo dragon.
Well, I didn't read the pseudo dragon, but I read the other two and their variant on being able to have them as a familiar.
Yeah.
So
as
it's
did
like
I.
it's got some interesting there. So I'll have to go check out the sprite and see.
I would think the sprite has some sort of charm, enchantment
totally
thing
makes sense.
going for it. You know, being fey and all that. But yeah.
And you know, if you're gonna go with an archfey as your patron, and then you're gonna go the Pack of the Chains, then sprite totally makes sense.
or the pseudo dragon even. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing my mountain dwarf with the fey pack with a sprite.
Just cause.
Because
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
Yeah,
I realize
actually-
you will be laughed at by all the other dwarves.
I
That's
really,
what pushed him
I'm
to
gonna
the
dye
edge.
his beard green.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what pushed him to the edge.
And name him Pickle. Yeah.
No, but he will fight with a pickle.
So, yeah, that's like it. Really makes me want to remake my. I had a 4E Star Pact Warlock, and I totally want to remake him. And like his whole thing was like he kind of, when I played him at the table, it was like he was hearing voices. So maybe it was all in his head, and like kind of resurrect that character. Yeah.
Well, there's tons of fodder for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
so.
the great part, if we haven't mentioned this before, is the warlock is really the DM's best friend, because if they want something to happen, all
He's a vehicle for plot.
is okay. Your patron says, "Go do this."
Go do this.
And you have to.
No.
more power
I want to
or
say
not?
there's actually two aspects to this. There's very much the I serve you, and then there's also the very much I chose you.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could be an unwilling servant of a patron. For instance, say you're dying, bleeding out, and you take a deal. And then you're afterwards you're like, oh man, I should have took that deal. This is the so you're always fighting against your patron. But you know the things that are granting you these powers are so powerful and so beyond the ken of mortals that when you actually think you're thwarting them, you probably are doing what they want anyway.
Right. Well, and also too, like with my character concept, he wouldn't even really understand what's going on for the longest time. He's just like, I can do these things. Like, you know, like I would take the pact of the tome and just like, oh well, I found this magic book and I'm learning how to cast these spells. And all of a sudden, no, I'm definitely getting myself deeper and deeper into debt with Cthulhu.
Who knew?
Yeah, you can be the reluctant participant in this whole
Yeah.
warlock deal, and with that, you could be unwittingly doing your master's bidding, because he could be saying to you, "I want you to go do this," knowing you better now after a few like jerking at the chain that you don't want to participate.
So you
in
say,
whatever-
"Okay, I'm going to go
whatever.
do the opposite."
Yes, and they're like, "Thank you, exactly what I wanted to do."
Yeah.
You know, so and eventually you don't really know if, like you said, if you're going to be helping or hindering your master's
Patron,
plot,
yeah.
your patron's plot. One thing that I forgot to mention with the spells is that when you choose the Fae, the Fiend, or the otherworldly being,
It broadens your spell list a little
Yes,
bit,
it broadens
and
your
you get
spell
some
list.
cool powers.
and it's not spells that are normally available to wizards or sorcerers for some of them. Like Fairy Fire is a
Druid.
druid spell. Let's see what else. Command is not a wizard
cleric spell.
and
Yeah,
that dissonance one, right?
Dissonant whispers.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a bard spell that basically when you drop that on somebody and they fail their wisdom save, if they fail, they're taking 3d6 points of psychic damage, and they have to move at top speed away from you.
And that's in the Great Old One.
Well,
so-
dude,
Yeah,
I
that's a
can
great
see
old-
you
A
with
little
your
madness here or
character,
there.
your character concept. With you, when you cast that spell, you basically are letting them hear the voices that you hear,
Yeah.
and they're running away. I can see you like chasing them down. Going, no, listen.
He's got a secret for you. Yeah.
He's got something to tell you.
Well, actually, so my whole concept with this Tome of Shadows character is like, so he's got this book that the binding on the outside is like all eyeballs, but the book is literally made of wisps of shadows.
Yeah.
And so it's intangible. Actually, it's invisible. Nobody else can see it. Knows like they'll see him like invisible, like he's looking through something, but it's invisible. Nobody else can see it, except for some of his like fear-causing effects. He's able to make you see it. And you're just like, well, what the hell is
Yeah,
happening?
yeah, like the book's made of writhing, shadowy tentacles or some crap.
Yeah.
Maggots.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
the Warlock that I actually made, I'll be playing in an online game soon. I actually went with a criminal background for my half-elf Warlock, and like my concept is that he got caught in a heist that went bad, and he's like laying there bleeding out, going, "I don't want to die," when he hears the whispers, and something from the lower planes contacts him and gives him the way to live.
So you went fiendish.
So I went fiendish, and I don't know what pack I'm going to go with yet. I almost want to do the Pack of Chains because it doesn't get any love. Well, I know I'm not going to go Pack of the Blade because I definitely like the Eldritch Blast invocations. So with that character, when I build it, I'm going to build out Eldritch Blast.
Right.
So then the Blade pack is kind of moot. Although Blade is very cool because although there are only 2 invocations for it. One is basically giving you more attacks per round, which is cool, making you more warrior-esque. And the other one is called Life Drinker. I don't remember what it does, but it's called Life Drinker.
You
so
probably regain hit points.
yeah,
in
so
some
it's
shape or form.
so it's very cool. But but with that building that character and taking a criminal background and kind of coming up with the backstory, like. Warlock, you can kind of tack on to anything, and it just kind of makes sense.
Right.
But, and it's also a great class to multiclass into. Thematically, I don't know. I haven't looked at the multiclass to see what you get, but thematically, it just makes sense because, the way it works is you're making a pact with something. Well, that could happen to anybody
At any point in time.
What if, what if as a DM you could use it as a tool going, like you actually killed one of your characters at the table, and you're like, you know what, I don't want them to die. I'm going to give them the option. Here's your option. Your next level is Warlock. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Or a new character.
Or a new character.
Hey, that would have been a way to save Mark's character, bring him back, now that we think about it. So his brother didn't have to step in, that also looks and acts exactly like
And
him.
Ryan, you mentioned an assassin with the Pact of the Blade earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that would be a really good thing to combo with Rogue or a Ranger or some kind of
Yeah.
stealth-like character.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially the Ranger, there's even like an assassin build, and like the typical like infiltrator totally works, because that's the way that they do assassin. So
this man was killed by a longsword. I don't have a
I
longsword.
clearly do not have a longsword, sir. So, I mean, the abilities that they get are really cool, like, even at first level. Like, just to kind of go over some of them, you have the Archfey, like, in addition to having access to a couple of extra, spells that aren't typically on the list, they get, at first level, Fey Presence. Starting at first level, your patron bestows upon you the ability to project the beguiling and fearsome presence of the Fey. So as an action, you can cause each creature in a 10-foot cube originating from you to make a wisdom saving throw against your Warlock spell DC. That if the creature fails their saving throw, they're charmed or frightened by you, your choice, until the end of your next turn. So basically, you can pick a 10-foot
You can be like, I'm so hot, or I'm so not.
I'm so creepy. That's right. So there's that one. Let's see, the Fiend, their first level ability is whenever you reduce an enemy to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your charisma modifier plus your Warlock level. So you start to like regenerate a little bit as you slaughter things. You know?
It feels good.
Yeah, and especially
Tastes like dying.
with the Pact of the Blade, it's just like, oh yeah, that's good stuff right there.
Yep.
So you got that one, and then the Great Old One, which for all intents and purposes, Cthulhu. Well, I mean, there's a few that you could choose from, but so this one lets you communicate telepathically with any creature you can see within 30 feet of you. You don't even need to share languages. You just start talking to people's minds. So
yeah, at that point, languages are irrelevant to you.
yeah, that's really sweet. So, well, I mean, except for when you're talking in terms of reading them, but
Right.
still
Also,
really
too,
cool.
as a caster, warlocks can all wear armor. They wear armor.
They get light, yeah.
Yeah, they get proficiency in light armor. They get simple weapons.
Does that stack with mage armor these days, or is
No.
it one or the other? Okay.
It's definitely one or the other.
Just curious.
But having the invocation of mage armor at will.
Yeah,
Something of
sweet.
shadows or shadow
Armor of Shadows, I believe.
Yeah.
That's really sweet. Which those start at third level, second.
Second. Yeah, I guess the only bummer about the Warlock is you don't get the really cool stuff until second level,
Yeah.
and then third it gets cooler.
Yeah.
So like they really tease it out with the Warlock. At first level, you get some cantrips and these little abilities that are kind of eh. I mean, they're nice, but like you're really
Yeah. That's the kind of true of all of 5e's. Like all the character's life really starts and really starts to get cool. See, at third level, I would say, really gets rolling. Yeah.
1 through 3 is kind of like your apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the stuff that you get is so much cooler as a Warlock. Not even like mechanically, but thematically.
Yeah.
So how about, once they become 20th level, it's like, yeah, I'm just going to ask my patron, even though I get all my spell slots back after a short rest, I don't have that time. How about I just ask him to give it all back? And he can do that.
Yeah, by the way.
It's like, yeah, you're back to full, or, spell slot full anyway.
That's not going to cost you a little piece of your soul.
We've been talking about the Warlock as a player character.
Let's talk about a Warlock campaign. All the PCs as Warlocks. I was kind of thinking.
Well, you could have everything would be different as well.
That would be kind of fun. But.
You could
If you all have a level of Warlock and all serving the same patron, I mean, boom. There's no question of where you're going. You go where the DM says you're going.
Well, I was thinking about it from the NPC perspective and the DM of creating these really great villains, and you can have them be, between the Pack of the Chain, the Pack of the Blade, and the Pack of the Tome, you have like a good variance of what you can do with it. You can have a fighter, you have a more fightery guy, you can have a more spellcaster guy. I guess the Pack of the Chain, would most be like monster controlling, and it's got some hold monster.
Or just super like enchantment-y, manipulative.
Yeah, enchantment and manipulation. So you can kind of really stylize.
You're going back to the cults with this, aren't you? You're all about the cults.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. You could have a little cult here or there. It has some warlocks in it, some acolyte warlocks.
They're a cult.
You could have a whole. You could have a really tough fight on your hands with the Pact of the Blade at the front, the guards. The Pack of the Chain as the main guy that you got to fight.
And the eldritch spears that push people back.
Yeah, it would be tough to assail, some kind of temple or ziggurat to some kind of strange.
I don't want to play in your game.
Otherworldly being.
I don't even understand what we try to play with you anymore.
For the DMs out there, I just
thanks, Nate. I happen to be running a campaign where you guys are against a cult.
Well, Warlock, I'll be disappointed if I don't fight one. Just saying.
Yeah. I'm sure it won't be a fiendish pack either.
So yeah, Cult of the Dragon, definitely. I can see that happening in our campaign.
Absolutely.
But what do we got going on now? We got blood cults.
Blood cults.
Very demonic.
He's coming into session 3, so.
Ah.
I'll get to
Finally going to get to play.
You haven't been raped by the cult yet.
I haven't been almost killed by orcs. I haven't been hurt by a blood cult. Nothing like that.
So, what about proficiencies for the Warlock?
Yes.
I mean, because we kind of skipped like the really basic mundane things.
Dude, the powers are so cool that it's really what you want to talk about.
Yeah, who cares? So yeah, I got it. So at a die 8, they're not exactly lightweights. Which I mean, only Only the wizards a die 6 or a sorcerer's die 6 too?
Sorcerer's D6 too, I believe.
So, so they're not as they can take a little bit of a hit. They get a decent skill selection: Arcana, Deception, History, Intimidation, Investigation, Nature, Religion. So they get 2, so you don't get a lot there unless you take the invocation that gives you 2 more, which is kind of cool. Saving throws are Wisdom and Charisma, so they resist mind stuff. As we said, light armor, simple weapons, unless of course you go Pack of the Blade. Then you use whatever the freak you want, just one of them at a time. As we mentioned, they get back their freaking spells after a short rest.
That's pretty crazy.
What's the normal rule for wizards and clerics?
Long rest.
Just a long rest.
Yeah,
Well,
normal.
It's a really big deal.
Well, no, the wizard can get I think up to half their level
Back in
spell
level.
slots.
Yeah.
Once per day, once after a short rest.
Yeah.
But
So I
short
mean,
rest
it's still
for Warlock, they get them all back.
It's still
Big difference.
Well, and the other thing, Warlock spells only go up to 5th level. Warlock is like this interesting combination of basically spell-like abilities and magic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting. And
I think that covers it.
in addition to their, their abilities they get from their packs, their patrons. Well, not the packs, that'd be from the patron, right?
Right.
So, yeah, Sorcerer is a -6.
Yep.
Yup.
Yep.
Why be a Sorcerer when you can be a Warlock?
That's true. That's true.
I don't know. All in all, man, I really do dig on the Warlock. It is it's probably gonna be a fan favorite, I think, of 5th edition.
Yeah. Just like between the you're limited spellcasting, but then having the access to the invocations, like that's
I just what, I don't even know, like, mechanically or power wise how they stack
how
up.
they'll stack up against.
Just
they just seem
thematically,
cool, yeah.
that just seems like a lot of fun.
Indeed.
Yeah.
For messing with players, messing with the DM, and just making various types of characters that are just different. You want that off character. The Warlock is probably the place to go.
Place to be.
It's the place to be. So with that, my friends, Warlock.
You tell us what you think
Feel
about
the power.
Tell us what you think about the Warlock in the comments below.
And while you're at it, I want you to like, subscribe, and even share. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and even at nerdarchy.com.
You can conjure us at all those places and many more.
Yeah.
Or through a Google search. If you just Google Nerdarchy, you can't swing at dead
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Well, Cthulhu never dies without hitting a Nerdarchy link.
Right.
So until next time, my friends,
Stay nerdy.